what's up? Welcome into the draft profile for Isaiah Bond. I'm John Camacho. This is Between the Pylons. And yeah, draft channel, really trying to grow a channel. We're obviously small and like a little bit of a niche. So if you're interested in supporting just a small creator, it would mean a lot to me. Trying to grow, trying to get better every day. But I have loved the draft for years. I've followed the draft very closely for years, and I've studied a lot of wide receivers. And I usually know about how fast they are by the time the combine actually comes up. And for Isaiah Bond, I had never thought, while watching him on TV and while doing my first round of preliminary scouting that I did a couple months ago, I never once thought that he was a sub 4.2 wide receiver. So when he came out and said, I'm going to run the fastest time in combine history, I perked up. I got a little excited. I'm like, oh, is this? I could have missed that. I wasn't saying there's no way. I was saying, okay, maybe. I guess it's possible. I never saw that, but okay. And then he doesn't even run the fastest time this year. His teammate did. I don't know. Is that a red flag for you? That's a red flag for me. I don't know why, but it's one of those little things that, yeah, if you're a team and you know the guy and you get to interview the guy, then that doesn't really matter. You have context for who the guy is as a person and how they came to make that assertion and all that. I don't have any of that context. So I wonder. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the skill chart and break down who Isaiah Bond really is. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what immediately jumps out to me when I look at this skill chart, and that is contested catch and blocking at a 3.1 and a 3. Very clearly his worst grades that he has, and yeah, those are negative grades for me. Those are issues in his game, in my opinion. Contested catch may be more of a bold statement, because I'm sure you can find highlights of him catching in traffic. I'm sure you can find different plays to prove me wrong. I think it's ultimately anecdotal, though, because I just watched him consistently make the catch harder for himself, consistently struggle with finding the ball in the air at the last second. Obviously, he was fine at tracking the ball when he could see it, but if there was any time a situation where he had to look up last second, let me try and not take my mic away from my face while I talk. I didn't feel like he was able to adjust to the ball appropriately, not consistently anyway. So that's a negative grade. That's not something that I want to see. Now, again, he's 5'11", 180 pounds. 5'11", 180 pounds. He's not the biggest dude anyway, so I don't expect him to be incredibly impactful as far as a body type, but I would like to see a little bit more strength at the point of attack. That's kind of goes into contested catch. You can also kind of point that to contact balance, which is at a 3.8. Body control at a 4.8 kind of talks about. I don't think he consistently is in perfect position, as I said earlier, during contested catch. So all these things kind of correlate, and they play a part in building kind of the picture of who I think he is as a player. And these are obviously the negative parts of his game. These are the aspects of why I don't think he's a complete player for the NFL. I think he absolutely has a role. He does. He absolutely has a role. I don't think we're talking about this guy as a guy you expect to be a huge part of your passing game outside of a certain role that you would have for him. And just to circle back to blocking for a second, at 3.1, that is also a very bad grade for me, and that is more in line with the fact that I just felt like he didn't put a ton of effort when he was kind of the slot receiver on a outside run play or anything like that, especially when he was having really just any time he was trying to block in the run game. It was subpar. It's why I think I'm putting him in a certain box. But let's talk about that box he's in, because I do think this is a guy who's going to thrive as a gadget player in the NFL. I think this is a guy who's going to thrive in certain packages, because it needs to be talked about. First of all, his explosiveness is real. His athleticism is real. This is not a joke. I know he didn't run what he said he would at the combine. He still obviously ran incredibly fast with a 4.39. This is not an insult to the player to say that he's not one of the fastest humans on earth. He looks very fast in college. He looked fast in film. The 4.39 is only disappointing because Isaiah Bond made statements to make it disappointing. He screwed himself. A 4.39 would have been awesome if he just said, yeah, I'm going to run fast in the interviews. Like, I don't know. That's as simple as it could have been. So with that said, he's also incredible with the ball in his hands. My favorite part of his game is getting him the ball in his hands. Now, I will say that does lead me to question his usage in college. We're talking about a guy who only had one game where he had over 100 yards receiving. He only had 99 receptions in his entire college career. So these are, again, another red flag for me to be like, okay, but I have eyes, and I know that you're explosive as hell. I know that you're great with the ball in your hand. Why are you not getting like 6 shallow crosses a day, especially in the college game? Like, why was he consistently not getting more screens, more just ball in your hand opportunity, end around, whatever it was? Like, there's so many different ways to scheme up plays. And ultimately, like I said, I think those are the type of plays that are going to be utilized for him at the NFL level. Because let's face it, as we've already talked about, his contact balance just isn't that good. He's going to get erased by press man coverage in the NFL. I don't really see a way where at this point of his game, it's going to translate incredibly well to the NFL to just automatically day one be a well-rounded wide receiver that can go out there and, run every route at a high level and just get open consistently versus NFL corners that are going to be more physical than him and be just as fast as him. So that's kind of my concern as far as where he's at right now. And let's be clear, I think he goes in day one and is a special gadget player that you can have packages for and can be an explosive part of your offense from day one. And then from there, can you be a gym rat? Can you, improve the aspects of your game that aren't there? Because you have all the tools to be a very, very special player in this league. I just don't think you're there right now, day one. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at with Isaiah Bond. Again, I know maybe I wasn't super, super positive, but I do want it to be very clear. This entire conversation is what if for me. It's, can you project to be a special player in the NFL because you have the tools? And at a very minimum, you're going to be a good gadget player who's going to get the ball in his hands and make something happen with it. So I think you can be both, right? You can be that guy early on in your career, and you can develop into a more well-rounded receiver. So that would be my ultimate hope for him, and that kind of harkens back to the beginning of this video when I talked about the red flags and, how he said he was going to do something he obviously either couldn't or didn't do. I guess that's up to you to decide which one you think that is. I kind of know where I stand. It's question marks. It's just question mark after question mark after question mark for me. And I know that I'm obviously overthinking a very small thing at a combine that, let's face it, doesn't really even matter that much anymore, especially to the NFL. To me, it only matters just to kind of confirm what I'm seeing. And, again, you take that for what it is, but I definitely think there are elements to that conversation that might be real inside the NFL rooms when they're talking about guys like this, especially, you're making these decisions in the 3rd and 4th round, and it's going to be between a couple different guys that are all really fast and all really explosive. And yeah, I think that could be a deciding factor for an Isaiah Bond. Ultimately, I do think probably 4th round for him is where I land, just because you're not going to be able to pass up on the athletic upside at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to pass up on the explosive playmaking ability too much later than where you're at with him. But 3rd, maybe he sneaks into the 3rd. I could see it. That just feels a little rich for me. So that's about where I'm at with them. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think about Isaiah Bond. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Helps the YouTube algorithm if you comment as well. So those comments really mean a lot to me, and I try to respond to as many as I can. So thank you so much for watching. Peace.